what we want to talk about today is data trust. And what data trust is not just data quality, not just data observability, but the proactive nature of allowing for these elements to come together. What data trust is a business user not reporting or not having issues with their dashboard, flagging a bunch of issues and errors, and us not knowing about it and hearing about these issues from the business directly. We want to avoid that from happening because what that's going to really create a culture of is data users coming into any platform, whether it's a BI tool or a view or anything, and always having this, eerie feeling that something is wrong, that there is an issue with the data, having to do checks, not being able to just go out and use a dashboard, but to ask the question first, can I trust this? And this is really a cultural phenomenon because users run into so many data issues. And then from there, they get this uncertainty, this hesitancy around the data. So in order for us to eliminate that feeling within the business, what do we have to do? We have to create data trust. And creating data trust isn't just doing data quality, but it's proactive reporting. So it's doing quality, but then it's also alerting the necessary people. It's letting the business know that, hey, there's an issue on this dashboard before they encounter it. So it's that proactivity that really matters. It's not just being reactive to when data quality issues happen, but really being proactive to when these things occur. And what I'm going to walk through today is how we can really trust an asset and perform data quality on it within the Collate platform, and really thinking about some time-saving tips here. So I'm not going to show off search. I'm not going to show off governance or tags or anything like that. I'm just going to dive right into my asset, and I'm just going to hit explore and jump into this customers table here. Right off the bat, there are some data quality cues or themes that are coming to the surface. So if you were a business user, you already being notified that, hey, there are some data quality active incidences here, or, oh, it looks like customer ID has been successful and same with first name, but it looks like last name has a failure. Already creating that sense of trust when I'm consuming this asset within the platform, because I'm the one being notified that there's an issue versus the other way around of me stumbling upon different data issues and things. Traditionally, data quality is just some SQL statements that might be run on the data on an ad hoc basis. What we're trying to do here at Collate is really formalize that process. And a couple of ways we're doing that really starts with understanding the data. So we have the schema in place. We might want to look at things like sample data, looking at the first name, the last name, understanding the structure of this data. But then we also want to look at it from an observability standpoint. We want to get the shape of this data to really help us understand what this ultimately looks like. So when I go to data observability, I'm able to see an overview. I can see how many failures there's been today, how many successes, are there any open incidences, are there upstream failures? So are things that are feeding this customer table creating issues? And then I can also look at the different dimensions. Maybe I care about integrity. I can see what's failing or what's passing today, or maybe I care about completeness. I can see what's failing and what's passing. Again, this is just an overview level. We want to take it a step farther. We want to look at the table profile. We want to see that, oh, it's been 102 rows, but it looks like there's been an uptick to 103 and then 110 in the last 7 days. Or if we look at the last 3 days, we see that step up a little bit more clearer. We can see how many columns, the profiles. We can see the updates or the volume changes that have been happening. So has a record's been updated, have records been inserted. We can also look at this from the column level as well. So I can see that, oh, our last name has 0% uniqueness. It has a distinct count of 18. We have 0 nulls for these key values, which is a good sign. And then we can also look at the other values, maybe our number of orders or our customer lifetime value. We can see how these things are fluctuating over time and potentially changing from a range standpoint. And then we could even see things like data distribution. So it looks like we have an outlier here on August 5th of having a CLV of 80. We can then ask the question, is this expected? Is this our most valuable customer? And what we can do. But what's the problem with profiling? It's incredibly helpful. It's really letting you understand the data, right? But it's not actually saying, is the data good or bad? It's not really creating trust. It's fostering it. It's fostering and creating understanding and context, but it's not creating trust. How we can create trust is by creating data quality rules where I can understand for this specific customer table, how many tests are there? Are they successful? Are they failed? I can even set up native, nice and easy tests within the UI at the table or column level. And let's go through how easy that is. I'm going to go to table and I want to know about volume because I thought it was interesting that our number here for rows has been changing and we saw this little bit of uptake. So I'm going to type volume, check, and then I'm going to select the type of test that I want. Collate offers some out of the box options like looking at different elements of a column of the table, even to being able to define your own SQL expression. We can also look at freshness or data diff test, which I'll show off in a few moments here. Or maybe I care about rows. So I want to do row count to be between a specific value. And I want that value to be between 100 and let's say 105. So this is good. Right now it's 110, so this is just going to fail. So let me actually just bump this up a little bit to 110. So now I'm good. I have 110 rows. This is making sure that the values are between 110, 100 and 110, and I'm good to go, right? But what's actually happening? It looks like the trend is upward, that our volumes are increasing, which really shouldn't come to a surprise to anybody. Now, what is going to be the problem when in a couple days I gain a couple more customers? This is going to fail, and I'm going to have to come in here and add a couple numbers. And then this is going to fail again, and I'm going to have to add a couple more numbers. But we don't want to do this for all 1,000 tables that we have. That's just not scalable. So what is the solution? Well, how I like to solve any problem I run into in my life is I add a bunch of zeros. The problem is going to go away, right? This isn't going to fail for a whole while. So what do? Make this problem go away. We add a bunch of zeros. But what problem did we now create? This test is as good as not having a test because it's never going to actually be triggered in our lifetime. So how do we solve this problem? We don't want to manually up it every single time we add a new record, and we don't want to have it be a huge value that's never going to set. Collate offers this dynamic assertion feature, which eliminates the need for thresholds and other elements. So with this dynamic assertion, we are going to profile your data, and then based off the trends we're seeing, create those upper and lower bounds with a confidence interval. And we're going to create a rolling value, a rolling average to use as those thresholds. So you don't have to manually set these, day in and day out. These tests don't have to be just created at the table level, but we can also add them at the column level. So I just select a column, maybe my customer lifetime value, and then I have a number of tests that I can set as well. Again, we can always use custom SQL. We can give these tests business descriptions to really understand the point of what we're trying to accomplish and associate these things to tags or glossary terms as well. So maybe I want to associate this to my CLV term. I can do that to create that linkage between a test and between a business artifact. Once a test is created, it ends up here, where we can then take a look at what we're testing. I just showed off that maybe the customer lifetime value must be positive, and it looks like this is being successful. I can see how many rows there are, what's the min, what's the max, how many are passing. This one is just doing something simple that says the customer lifetime value must always be greater than 0. And I'm associating it to specific tags, to specific glossary terms, really creating that reference across them. That was a success, but now let's look at a failure. This is my favorite test personally. What it's doing is looking at our customer table and it's looking at our staging table. And it's saying that they have the same customer ID. Their first and last name should check out. And I can see what's happening. Oh, it looks like some rows didn't make it. They were removed. And then it looks like, oh, there's been 10 removed rows today. And I can actually look at what those rows are. So it looks like I was removed for some reason. Joe P with the customer ID 1818 is no longer in the customer table for whatever reason. And I'm able to see the sample data where this is breaking down to help me understand this better. Now, I can open up an incident and assign it a severity, set a status for it, and then have some comments here to understand what's happening. I can also look at past incidences and say, oh, why was this in the past failing? Oh, it doesn't like J names. Joe was one of those issues that are failing. And I can say, oh, it was missing data, rows were removed, and then I can mark this as closed once I've identified what the issue is. So we're also able to solve incidences a whole lot faster, which again fosters that data of trust of being more proactive, of being able to alert on these different types of elements within the platform. So here I'm just being able to see, the successes, the failures. I can also look at if there's any incidences and their severities to help me understand this table a whole lot better. The other thing that we can do with this table is we can take it into lineage and see all the things downstream it's going to impact. So if I just put my observability lens on, I can actually see the red line of the impact that these 5 data quality issues are happening on the rest of my system. Again, thinking about being proactive, thinking about fostering trust, I would then want to go to this customer Tableau data model and say, hey, whoever the owner of this, can you please let your stakeholders know that we're experiencing a data quality issue? They're not going to be happy about it, but they're going to be a lot less upset if we're the ones communicating this to them versus them having to find out the hard. Thinking about communicating, it doesn't have to be that I have to come to this table. I can set up a variety of different types of alerts for whatever type of element I want. So I have my customer and product alerts. So if something is in the customer domain and it fails, send it to this customer team via email, or send it to a Slack, or send it to a Teams channel, or send it to a webhook to then distribute. Again, making sure we're proactive in knowing about these issues right away. These alerts can be anything from schema changes or metrics profiling, or different types of test failing. Now, we've really focused on that one customer table, but data quality is a lot bigger than that. What I can do is just go to my data quality tab here and really get the big picture of data quality across my organizations. One of the problems I always see with organizations doing data quality is it's ad hoc. There's no structure, there's no organization. It's just as needed that we throw these rules together. This view here allows us to see that, okay, we have 10,000 tables, 75 of them have data quality rules. Of those 75, 70 are healthy. And of that, we have 75 successes and 93 failure. Of those 93 tests that we have 75 successful and 18 failing. We can see the different dimensions that we're covering, and we can also look at the success, the aborts, the failures, the number of open incidences. Our response time can probably improve. Our resolution time can definitely improve, but we're able to actually capture that holistically. Now, the other thing that the quality dashboard here allows for is that operational efficiency. 10,000 tables is a lot. Now, who here in the chat has 10,000 data engineers readily available to minister to each of these tables? Maybe you don't have 10,000. Maybe you just have 10. That's still 1,000 tables per engineer to resolve this. Now, what should we be doing? Well, we shouldn't be treating all 10,000 tables the same. We should use the element of tiering that Collate introduces to say, hey, let's only look at our tier 1 and tier 2 tables. Now we've gotten that down to 12 tables. That's a whole lot more manageable. Or maybe I care about only a specific owner. Let's see how I'm doing from a data quality standpoint on my tables. It looks like of my 8 tables that I own, 6 of them have coverage. Only 2 of them are healthy. I can probably do a whole lot better there. So that's a slap on the wrist for me. But at least I understand from an ownership standpoint, how am I doing in appearing my accuracy, in appearing my quality, in appearing my consistency, and those different elements of data quality that way. So I can be more proactive in understanding what's under my jurisdiction, as opposed to doing this mentality of fighting fires and just trying to put out issues here and there. I'm really able to create trust, accountability, and ownership surrounding assets, all while making it more manageable. Only having to care about eight tables data quality is a less daunting task of 10,000 tables. It actually allows us to have benchmarks and hit our metrics more efficiently. We also offer different elements like our alerting, like our incident management, and also being able to break these things down by specific elements. So here I have my customer KDEs where I'm able to see, okay, I only care about these 3 data quality rules. Of that, 50% are actually passing, and being able to get different breakdowns. I hope you guys can see how data quality can become data trust by being more proactive, by being less in that firefighter mentality, and really bridging the gap and understanding the asset and having things like ownerships, tiers associated to make data management a whole lot more easy. This staging table is also in Redshift, but this can also very much be in Snowflake or MS SQL. As long as both of the platforms are in Collate, we're able to perform that cross source data quality. And with custom SQL expressions just the same, we're able to bring in results from multiple elements. This is doing that. It's across tables, looking at different elements and showing us the differences. Thanks everyone for joining. Have a great weekend, and we will see you all in 2 weeks for the next Collate 30 and 30.